The morning mist hung thick over the volcanic beaches of Iwo Jima on February 23, 1945, as Corporal Marcus Washington crouched behind a shattered palm tree, watching his white commanding officers dismiss his tactical suggestion for the third time in as many days. The salt air carried the acrid smell of sulfur from the island's unstable geology, mixing with the metallic taste of tension that had become as familiar as his morning rations. Washington had studied every inch of the terrain through his field glasses, noting the peculiar rock formations that could provide perfect cover for an unconventional approach to the heavily fortified Japanese positions. Yet Lieutenant Colonel Harrison and Captain Bradley continued to wave off his input with the same condescending gesture they reserved for what they called colored enthusiasm. Little did they know that this same reckless flanking maneuver they had repeatedly banned would become the very strategy that would save not just their platoon, but change the course of their entire sector's advance. Before we dive into this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. This is the extraordinary account of how systematic prejudice nearly cost an entire unit their lives, and how one Marine's innovative tactical thinking would prove that courage and intellect recognize no color boundaries when survival hangs in the balance. The 2nd Battalion, 28th Marine Regiment, had been pinned down on the southeastern slopes of Mount Suribachi for 4 grueling days. Every conventional assault had met with devastating resistance from the Japanese defenders, who had transformed the volcanic mountain into a virtually impregnable fortress. The enemy had spent months preparing their positions, carving tunnels and bunkers deep into the hardened lava rock, creating a network of interconnected defensive points that seemed to anticipate every standard Marine Corps tactical approach. Washington had earned his corporal stripes through exceptional performance during the Marshall Islands campaign, where his ability to read terrain and devise unconventional solutions had saved his squad on multiple occasions. His personnel file, thick with commendations from previous engagements, documented his exceptional marksmanship scores and his uncanny ability to identify weaknesses in enemy defensive positions. Yet here on Iwo Jima, his tactical insights were consistently overlooked by an officer corps that seemed more concerned with maintaining traditional hierarchies than adapting to the unique challenges of this particular battlefield. The Marine had grown up in the mountains of North Carolina, where his grandfather had taught him to hunt by reading the landscape like a book. Every ridge, every depression, every unusual rock formation told a story about movement patterns and natural cover. His grandfather, a veteran of the Spanish-American conflict, had emphasized that successful tactics often meant looking beyond the obvious approaches and finding paths that others might dismiss as impossible or impractical. Captain Bradley, a career officer from Massachusetts who had graduated from the Naval Academy with honors, maintained strict adherence to textbook assault strategies. His tactical manual, creased from constant reference, outlined standard procedures for beach assaults and mountain warfare that had been developed through decades of military doctrine. Bradley's approach emphasized overwhelming firepower concentrated along predictable axes of advance, supported by coordinated artillery barrages that would theoretically soften enemy positions before infantry assault. The Japanese defenders, however, had anticipated exactly these conventional approaches. Their commanding officer, Major Kuribayashi, had studied American tactical doctrine extensively and had designed his defensive scheme specifically to counter standard Marine Corps assault methods. The volcanic terrain of Iwo Jima provided natural advantages that the Japanese had exploited with methodical precision, creating killing zones that channeled American forces into predetermined areas where concentrated fire could achieve maximum effectiveness. Washington's proposed flanking maneuver involved a circuitous route through what appeared to be impassable terrain on the mountain's eastern face. His reconnaissance had identified a series of lava tubes and natural rock bridges that could allow a small force to approach the Japanese positions from an unexpected angle. The route would require individual Marines to navigate narrow passages between jagged volcanic formations, moving in single file through areas where traditional military formations would be impossible to maintain. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison reviewing Washington's hand-drawn tactical sketches during their morning briefing, had immediately dismissed the proposal as impractical and dangerous. The commanding officer's concerns focused on the difficulty of maintaining communication along such an extended and treacherous route, the impossibility of providing supporting fire for troops committed to such narrow passages, and the risk of losing an entire squad in terrain where rescue operations would be virtually impossible. The colonel's objections reflected standard military thinking that emphasized concentrated force application and maintained unit cohesion as fundamental principles of successful assault tactics. Washington's proposed route violated these basic tenets by requiring small unit dispersion across difficult terrain, accepting communication challenges, and depending on individual Marine initiative rather than coordinated command control. Yet Washington's intimate understanding of the terrain had revealed possibilities that escaped conventional analysis. His daily reconnaissance patrols had identified specific routes through the lava formations that would provide natural concealment while maintaining adequate mobility for small unit movement. His detailed observations had noted the timing of Japanese patrol patterns, the positioning of their observation posts, and the dead spaces in their defensive coverage that could be exploited by forces approaching from unexpected directions. The Marine's persistence in advocating for his tactical approach had begun to create tension within the unit's command structure. Some junior officers had privately expressed support for Washington's observations, recognizing the validity of his terrain analysis and the potential advantages of his proposed route. However, the rigid military hierarchy of 1945 provided limited channels for enlisted personnel to challenge officer decisions, particularly when those challenges came from African American Marines serving in a segregated military system. Sergeant Michael O'Brien, Washington's squad leader and a veteran of the Guadalcanal campaign, had developed considerable respect for the corporal's tactical abilities. O'Brien had witnessed Washington's innovative problem-solving during previous engagements, including a memorable incident on Saipan where the Marines' unconventional approach had allowed their squad to neutralize a seemingly impregnable machine gun position without suffering a single casualty. The sergeant's support, however, carried limited influence within the battalion's decision-making process. O'Brien's own working-class background and his status as a non-commissioned officer placed him outside the inner circle of academy-trained officers who dominated tactical planning discussions. His attempts to advocate for Washington's proposal had been politely acknowledged, but ultimately ignored by the command staff. Private First Class Tommy Rodriguez, a radio operator from Texas, had accompanied Washington on several reconnaissance patrols and had developed first-hand appreciation for the Marines' ability to navigate complex terrain while maintaining tactical awareness. Rodriguez had observed Washington's systematic approach to route planning, noting how the corporal identified multiple contingency paths and carefully calculated timing requirements for each phase of movement. The radio operator's technical expertise provided additional validation for Washington's tactical concept. Rodriguez understood the communication challenges inherent in the proposed flanking route, but he also recognized that modern portable radio equipment could maintain contact throughout most of the approach if proper relay positions were established at key terrain features along the way. Private James Chen, a medic whose family had immigrated from China before the conflict, brought a unique perspective to tactical discussions within the squad. Chen's medical training emphasized the importance of rapid evacuation routes and the need for alternative approaches when standard methods proved inadequate. His support for Washington's proposal reflected professional recognition that unconventional situations often required innovative solutions. The medic's cultural background also provided insight into the psychology of defensive warfare, drawn from his family's experiences during conflicts in their homeland. Chen understood how defenders could become overconfident in prepared positions, potentially developing blind spots that could be exploited by attackers willing to accept higher risks in exchange for tactical surprise. The diverse composition of Washington's squad reflected the complex social dynamics of the wartime Marine Corps, where practical necessity had begun to break down some traditional barriers while others remained firmly entrenched. The shared dangers of combat had created bonds that transcended racial and cultural differences at the squad level, even as institutional segregation continued to limit opportunities for advancement and recognition. These interpersonal relationships would prove crucial when circumstances finally forced the battalion to reconsider Washington's tactical proposal. The trust and mutual respect that had developed among squad members through shared combat experiences provided the foundation for successful execution of a complex and dangerous mission that would test every Marine's individual capabilities while demanding unprecedented levels of coordination and mutual dependence. The strategic situation on Iwo Jima had grown increasingly desperate as American forces struggled to maintain momentum in their advance toward the island's northern airfields. The initial assault, launched with overwhelming superiority in personnel and equipment, had been expected to secure the island within several days. Instead, the Japanese defensive strategy had transformed every 100 yards of advance into a costly and time-consuming ordeal that consumed resources far beyond pre-invasion projections. General Schmidt's operational planners had estimated that Iwo Jima would require approximately 4 days to secure, based on intelligence assessments that underestimated both the extent of Japanese defensive preparations and the determination of the garrison to resist to the last man. The actual battle was now entering its 4th week, with American casualties mounting at rates that threatened to exhaust replacement pools and strain logistical support capabilities. The Japanese defensive commander had implemented a strategy of defense in depth that abandoned traditional concepts of beach defense in favor of an integrated system of mutually supporting positions distributed throughout the island's interior. This approach maximized the advantages provided by Iwo Jima's unique volcanic terrain, while forcing American forces to fight for every defensive position individually, preventing the rapid breakthrough that standard assault tactics were designed to achieve. Mount Suribachi, dominating the southern portion of the island, had become a symbol of Japanese resistance and a critical objective that had to be secured before American forces could turn their full attention to the main defensive positions in the island's northern sectors. The mountain's commanding height provided observation and fire control over the entire southern beach area, making it impossible to establish secure logistical bases until the position was neutralized. Washington's battalion had been assigned the mission of reducing the Suribachi defenses through direct assault, supported by concentrated artillery fire and close air support from carrier-based aircraft. The standard tactical approach called for systematic reduction of individual defensive positions through coordinated application of overwhelming firepower, followed by infantry assault to secure and consolidate captured ground. This methodical approach, while doctrinally sound, had proven inadequate against the Japanese defensive scheme on Suribachi. The volcanic rock provided exceptional protection against artillery bombardment, while the interconnected tunnel system allowed defenders to move between positions and concentrate fire at critical points without exposing themselves to American observation or suppressive fire. The battalion's repeated attempts to advance up the mountain's conventional approaches had resulted in heavy casualties without achieving significant territorial gains. Each assault followed the same pattern: concentrated preparatory bombardment, coordinated infantry advance along predictable routes, and devastating Japanese defensive fire that forced American withdrawal to original starting positions. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison's tactical approach reflected his training and experience in previous Pacific campaigns, where superior American firepower and aggressive infantry tactics had consistently overcome Japanese defensive positions. His confidence in standard assault methods had been reinforced by successful operations on other islands, where similar techniques had achieved rapid victory with acceptable casualty rates. The colonel's reluctance to consider alternative approaches stemmed partly from institutional conservatism, and partly from his assessment that untested tactics might expose his command to unnecessary risks. Military doctrine emphasized proven methods, precisely because innovative experiments could result in catastrophic failures that would reflect poorly on commanding officers' judgment and professional competence. Captain Bradley's support for conventional tactics reflected similar concerns about maintaining unit cohesion and command control during complex operations. His experience as a company commander had taught him that successful assaults required precise coordination between multiple elements, including artillery support, airstrikes, and infantry movement. Unconventional approaches threatened to disrupt this coordination and create opportunities for miscommunication or friendly fire incidents. The captain's academic background had emphasized the importance of following established procedures and maintaining clear command structures during combat operations. His tactical training had focused on managing large-scale coordinated assaults rather than small unit special operations that might require delegation of critical decisions to enlisted personnel. Yet the mounting casualties and lack of progress had begun to create pressure for alternative approaches within the battalion command structure. Junior officers were privately questioning the effectiveness of continued frontal assaults, while senior non-commissioned officers were reporting declining morale among their troops as repeated attacks failed to achieve meaningful objectives. Sergeant O'Brien had approached Captain Bradley privately to discuss Washington's tactical proposal, emphasizing the corporal's proven track record and the potential advantages of attempting an unconventional approach. The sergeant's advocacy carried weight due to his own combat experience and his reputation for practical judgment in tactical matters. The sergeant's argument focused on the reality that current tactics were not achieving mission objectives while consuming irreplaceable personnel at unsustainable rates. O'Brien emphasized that Washington's proposed flanking route offered the possibility of achieving tactical surprise while avoiding the killing zones that had made frontal assaults so costly. Captain Bradley's initial response reflected his concerns about the risks inherent in Washington's proposal, particularly the difficulty of supporting a small unit operating in isolated terrain where reinforcement or evacuation might be impossible. The captain's questions focused on practical details, communication procedures, contingency plans for mission failure, and methods for coordinating the flanking attack with supporting operations. The discussion revealed the fundamental tension between innovation and institutional caution that characterized military decision-making throughout the Pacific conflict. Individual commanders faced pressure to achieve mission objectives while simultaneously avoiding unnecessary risks that might result in avoidable casualties or mission failure. Washington's growing frustration with the repeated rejection of his tactical suggestions reflected his understanding that time was working against American forces on Iwo Jima. Each day of delay allowed Japanese defenders to strengthen their positions and coordinate their defensive plans, while American casualties mounted without corresponding territorial gains. The corporal's personal motivation went beyond simple military professionalism to encompass his determination to prove that African American Marines could make significant contributions to tactical success if given appropriate opportunities. His awareness of the broader social implications of his military service added personal stakes to his professional responsibilities. Yet Washington's primary focus remained on the practical necessity of finding effective methods for accomplishing assigned missions while minimizing casualties among his fellow Marines. His tactical proposals reflected genuine concern for unit welfare rather than personal ambition or desire for individual recognition. The corporal's detailed knowledge of local terrain had been acquired through systematic reconnaissance that went far beyond standard patrol requirements. Washington had volunteered for additional observation duties, using his personal time to study Japanese defensive positions and identify potential weaknesses in their coverage. His hand-drawn maps included precise measurements of distances, elevation changes, and timing requirements for movement between key terrain features. These calculations reflected mathematical precision that impressed even officers who remained skeptical about the overall feasibility of his proposed flanking route. The quality of Washington's reconnaissance work gradually gained recognition among junior officers who were responsible for planning daily patrol activities. His accurate intelligence about Japanese positions and movement patterns had proven valuable for avoiding enemy observation and minimizing patrol casualties during routine operations. Private Rodriguez's growing appreciation for Washington's tactical abilities reflected the radio operator's professional understanding of communication requirements and his first-hand observation of the corporal's methodical approach to complex problems. Rodriguez had noted Washington's careful attention to detail and his systematic consideration of multiple contingencies when planning operations. The radio operator's technical expertise provided validation for Washington's claims about maintaining communication during the proposed flanking movement. Rodriguez understood the capabilities and limitations of their portable radio equipment and could assess the feasibility of establishing relay positions along the planned route. Private Chen's medical perspective added another dimension to tactical discussions within the squad, emphasizing the importance of evacuation routes and the need for alternative approaches when conventional methods proved inadequate. The medic's support for innovative tactics reflected his professional obligation to minimize casualties through whatever means proved most effective. Chen's cultural background provided additional insight into the psychology of defensive warfare and the potential advantages of unexpected approaches that could disrupt enemy planning and coordination. His family's experiences had taught him that seemingly impossible tactical solutions sometimes succeeded precisely because defenders failed to anticipate unconventional approaches. The growing support for Washington's proposal within the squad reflected the development of mutual trust and respect that had emerged through shared combat experiences. The practical necessities of survival had created bonds that transcended racial and cultural differences, fostering an environment where good ideas could gain acceptance based on merit rather than the social status of their originators. These interpersonal dynamics would prove crucial when circumstances finally created opportunities for Washington's tactical concepts to be tested under actual combat conditions. The foundation of trust and mutual confidence that had developed among squad members would enable successful execution of a complex mission that required unprecedented levels of individual initiative and collective coordination. On the morning of February 27th, the tactical situation had reached a critical juncture that would force reconsideration of all previous assumptions about the feasibility of conventional assault methods. A coordinated Japanese counterattack during the pre-dawn hours had overrun two advanced positions that had been captured at considerable cost during the previous day's operations, effectively eliminating the territorial gains achieved through 3 days of intensive fighting. The counterattack had demonstrated the Japanese ability to move reinforcements through their tunnel system and concentrate forces at critical points without American detection. This tactical mobility gave defenders significant advantages in choosing when and where to commit their reserves, while American forces remained tied to predictable assault routes that could be anticipated and prepared for in advance. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison's morning briefing revealed the extent of the tactical challenge facing the battalion. Intelligence reports indicated that Japanese defensive capabilities remained essentially intact, despite 4 days of concentrated bombardment and repeated infantry assaults. The enemy's ability to absorb punishment while maintaining effective resistance suggested that conventional tactics alone would be insufficient to achieve mission objectives within acceptable time and casualty limits. The colonel's analysis acknowledged that current approaches had reached the point of diminishing returns, where continued application of standard assault methods would likely produce additional casualties without corresponding tactical gains. This assessment created an opening for consideration of alternative approaches that had previously been dismissed as unnecessarily risky or impractical. Captain Bradley's tactical assessment supported the colonel's conclusion that conventional methods were proving inadequate against the unique challenges presented by Suribachi's defensive system. The captain's detailed casualty reports documented the mounting cost of frontal assaults, while providing no evidence that continued application of similar tactics would achieve different results. The captain's recommendation for tactical reassessment reflected his professional obligation to accomplish assigned missions while preserving unit combat effectiveness for future operations. Bradley's growing willingness to consider unconventional approaches represented a significant shift from his previous adherence to textbook assault procedures. Sergeant O'Brien's participation in the command briefing provided an opportunity to present Washington's tactical proposal in the context of the evolving operational situation. The sergeant's advocacy emphasized the potential advantages of attempting an approach that Japanese defenders had not anticipated or prepared to counter. O'Brien's presentation included Washington's detailed reconnaissance findings, his calculations for movement timing and communication requirements, and his assessment of the tactical advantages that could be achieved through successful execution of the flanking maneuver. The sergeant's professional credibility added weight to arguments that had previously been dismissed without serious consideration. Washington's presence at the briefing represented an unusual departure from standard military protocol, where enlisted personnel rarely participated directly in tactical planning discussions. The corporal's inclusion reflected the desperate nature of the current situation and the recognition that conventional hierarchies might need to be modified to accommodate practical necessities. The Marine's presentation of his tactical concept demonstrated the depth of his terrain analysis and the systematic approach he had taken to addressing potential challenges. His detailed maps and timing calculations impressed officers who had previously questioned his qualifications to contribute to tactical planning. Washington's proposal called for a 12-man reconnaissance team to infiltrate Japanese positions through the eastern approach route he had identified, with the mission of conducting detailed surveillance and preparing the way for a larger flanking attack if initial reconnaissance confirmed the feasibility of his tactical concept. The reconnaissance mission would test Washington's route planning under actual combat conditions, while limiting the forces committed to what remained an experimental approach. This compromise allowed commanders to evaluate the proposal's potential without risking large numbers of personnel in an unproven tactical concept. Lieutenant Morrison, a platoon leader who had expressed private support for innovative approaches, volunteered to lead the reconnaissance mission if authorization was granted. Morrison's offer reflected his professional assessment that conventional methods were failing, and his willingness to accept personal risks associated with testing alternative approaches. The lieutenant's participation would provide commissioned officer oversight for the mission while allowing Washington to serve as guide and tactical advisor. This arrangement satisfied military protocol requirements while ensuring that the mission could benefit from the corporal's specialized knowledge of local terrain and enemy positions. The debate that followed Washington's presentation revealed the tensions between institutional caution and operational necessity that characterized military decision-making throughout the Pacific conflict. Conservative voices emphasized the risks associated with committing forces to unproven tactics, while pragmatic advocates argued that continued application of failed methods posed even greater risks to mission accomplishment and unit survival. Captain Bradley's questions focused on specific details of Washington's plan, including communication procedures, contingency arrangements for mission failure, and methods for coordinating the reconnaissance effort with supporting operations. The captain's technical queries demonstrated serious consideration of the proposal rather than reflexive dismissal based on its unconventional nature. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison's final decision reflected his assessment that current tactical approaches had reached the limits of their effectiveness, and that continued adherence to conventional methods would likely result in mission failure with unacceptable casualties. The colonel's authorization for Washington's reconnaissance mission represented a significant departure from standard operating procedures and a willingness to accept calculated risks in pursuit of tactical innovation. The reconnaissance team would consist of 12 volunteers, selected for their individual capabilities and their demonstrated ability to work effectively under challenging conditions. Team composition would emphasize technical skills, physical conditioning, and proven reliability under combat stress rather than traditional military rank or social status. Washington's role as tactical advisor and route guide would be formalized through temporary assignment to Lieutenant Morrison's command, providing clear command structure while ensuring that the mission could benefit from the corporal's specialized expertise. This arrangement represented an innovative approach to military hierarchy that prioritized tactical effectiveness over conventional protocol. Preparation for the reconnaissance mission required detailed planning that addressed every aspect of the operation, from initial infiltration through final extraction. Washington's systematic approach to mission planning impressed his fellow team members, and demonstrated the thoroughness of his tactical preparation. The corporal's detailed briefings covered terrain features, enemy positions, timing requirements, communication procedures, contingency plans, and coordination with supporting elements. His comprehensive knowledge of operational requirements reflected months of careful observation and systematic analysis of tactical possibilities. Private Rodriguez's technical preparations focused on communication requirements and the establishment of relay positions that would maintain contact between the reconnaissance team and battalion headquarters throughout the mission. The radio operator's expertise ensured that communication capabilities would not limit tactical options during critical phases of the operation. Private Chen's medical preparations emphasized the unique challenges of providing medical support in terrain where conventional evacuation methods would be impossible. The medic's contingency planning addressed treatment of casualties in isolated positions and alternative evacuation routes that could be used if primary extraction plans proved unfeasible. The selection of additional team members reflected careful consideration of individual capabilities and the specific requirements of operating in challenging terrain under dangerous conditions. Each volunteer was chosen for demonstrated competence in specialized skills that would contribute to overall mission success. Corporal Davis, an experienced demolitions expert from Alabama, brought technical capabilities that might prove essential if the mission required elimination of specific Japanese positions or creation of alternative routes through rock formations. Davis's expertise with explosives provided tactical options that could prove crucial if circumstances required modification of original plans. Private Johnson, a marksman whose shooting abilities had earned recognition throughout the regiment, provided precision fire capabilities that might be essential for mission success or team survival. Johnson's demonstrated reliability under pressure made him an ideal candidate for operations, requiring individual initiative and precise execution. Sergeant Thompson, a veteran of the Guadalcanal campaign with extensive experience in jungle warfare, brought leadership capabilities and practical knowledge of small unit operations in challenging environments. Thompson's combat experience provided valuable expertise in managing team dynamics and making tactical decisions under stress. The final team composition represented a carefully balanced combination of technical specialties, combat experience, and proven reliability that would enable successful execution of a complex mission requiring unprecedented levels of individual performance and team coordination. Each member understood that mission success would depend on flawless execution of their individual responsibilities while maintaining seamless integration with team objectives. Training for the reconnaissance mission emphasized the unique requirements of operating in volcanic terrain that differed significantly from conventional jungle or beach environments where most Marines had gained their previous experience. The lava formations presented mobility challenges that required specific techniques and equipment modifications to ensure safe passage. Washington's instruction focused on movement techniques that would minimize noise while maintaining adequate speed through narrow passages between jagged rock formations. His teaching emphasized the importance of individual discipline and collective coordination in terrain, where a single mistake by any team member could compromise the entire mission. The corporal's systematic approach to training reflected his understanding that mission success would depend on every Marine's ability to navigate complex terrain while maintaining tactical awareness and combat readiness. His instruction covered route selection, obstacle negotiation, noise discipline, and emergency procedures for various contingencies. Private Rodriguez's communication training ensured that every team member understood radio procedures and backup communication methods that would maintain contact with supporting elements throughout the mission. The radio operator's instruction covered equipment operation, relay procedures, and alternative communication methods if primary systems failed. Equipment preparation required careful selection of gear that would provide necessary capabilities, while remaining compatible with movement through restrictive terrain. Standard Marine equipment loads were modified to eliminate unnecessary items while ensuring that essential capabilities were maintained. Weapon selection emphasized reliability and versatility over firepower, recognizing that the mission's success would depend more on stealth and precision than on sustained combat capability. Each Marine carried equipment that had been personally tested and proven reliable under challenging conditions. Personal preparation included physical conditioning that emphasized the stamina and agility required for extended movement through difficult terrain. The demanding nature of the planned route required fitness levels that exceeded standard military requirements and tested each Marine's individual limits. The psychological preparation for the mission addressed the mental challenges of operating in isolated positions where rescue might be impossible and where individual decisions could determine mission success or failure. Washington's leadership during this phase demonstrated his understanding of the human factors that would influence operational success. Final preparations included detailed rehearsals that tested every aspect of the planned operation under conditions that simulated the challenges expected during actual mission execution. These practice sessions identified potential problems and allowed refinement of procedures before the team committed to actual infiltration. The rehearsals revealed the importance of precise timing and coordination between team members as they moved through complex terrain that required sequential passage through narrow openings and careful coordination to avoid detection by enemy observation posts. Washington's role during these exercises demonstrated his natural leadership abilities and his systematic approach to problem-solving under pressure. His guidance helped individual team members develop confidence in their abilities while ensuring that collective performance met the demanding standards required for mission success. On the night of March 1st, weather conditions provided the combination of concealment and visibility that Washington had identified as optimal for beginning the infiltration phase of the reconnaissance mission. Low-hanging clouds obscured the moon while maintaining sufficient ambient light for navigation through terrain where artificial illumination would reveal American positions to Japanese observers. The team's departure from American lines required careful coordination with frontline units to prevent friendly fire incidents while maintaining operational security about the mission's objectives and planned route. Lieutenant Morrison's coordination with adjacent units ensured that the reconnaissance team could move through American positions without compromising their mission or alerting enemy forces to unusual activity. Washington's navigation during the initial phase of movement demonstrated his intimate familiarity with local terrain and his ability to maintain precise route discipline under challenging conditions. The corporal's guidance through the complex approaches to the eastern face of Mount Suribachi revealed the depth of his reconnaissance preparation and his systematic approach to route planning. The team's movement through the initial phase of the infiltration route proceeded according to Washington's precise timing calculations, with each checkpoint reached within minutes of the planned schedule. This accuracy validated the corporal's systematic approach to mission planning and demonstrated the feasibility of maintaining precise coordination during complex operations. Private Rodriguez's communication checks with battalion headquarters confirmed that radio contact could be maintained throughout the early phases of the mission, providing essential links between the reconnaissance team and supporting elements that might be required for emergency assistance or tactical coordination. The first major challenge came as the team approached the transition from conventional terrain to the volcanic formations that would provide both concealment and access to Japanese positions. Washington's selection of specific routes through these formations had been based on daylight observations that required validation under the different visibility conditions of nighttime operations. The corporal's guidance through the initial lava tube passages demonstrated the accuracy of his reconnaissance and his ability to navigate complex underground routes that would have been impossible for personnel without his specialized knowledge. His leadership during this critical phase established confidence in his tactical judgment and his preparation for the more challenging phases ahead. Sergeant Thompson's assessment of Washington's performance during the early movement phases revealed growing respect for the corporal's professional capabilities and his systematic approach to tactical challenges. The sergeant's combat experience provided perspective on the quality of Washington's preparation and the potential for mission success. The team's successful negotiation of the initial challenges validated Washington's tactical concept while demonstrating the high level of individual performance required for operations in terrain that demanded both physical capabilities and technical expertise. Each Marine's contribution during this phase built confidence in collective ability to accomplish increasingly demanding objectives. Private Chen's medical monitoring of team members during the physically demanding initial movement revealed the conditioning requirements for sustained operations in volcanic terrain. The medic's observations confirmed that proper preparation and systematic pacing could maintain team effectiveness throughout extended operations in challenging environments. Navigation through the intermediate sections of the infiltration route required precise coordination between Washington's terrain knowledge and Lieutenant Morrison's tactical judgment, as conditions not anticipated during planning required real-time modifications to original procedures. The lieutenant's tactical decisions during these unexpected challenges demonstrated effective command integration with Washington's specialized expertise, creating a collaborative approach that maximized the advantages provided by each team member's individual capabilities while maintaining clear command authority and mission focus. Washington's adaptation to changing conditions revealed his ability to modify detailed plans while maintaining overall mission objectives, demonstrating the flexibility and professional judgment that had characterized his previous tactical contributions. His systematic approach to problem-solving under pressure impressed team members and validated his role as tactical advisor. The team's approach to the advanced observation positions required movement techniques that pushed individual capabilities to their limits while demanding flawless coordination to avoid detection by enemy sentries whose proximity created immediate dangers for any Marine whose discipline faltered under pressure. Washington's guidance through these final approach phases demonstrated extraordinary knowledge of enemy patterns and Japanese defensive procedures. His accurate predictions of sentry rotations and observation schedules revealed the quality of his previous reconnaissance and his understanding of enemy tactical methods. The reconnaissance team's successful penetration of Japanese defensive positions represented validation of Washington's tactical concept and demonstration of what could be achieved through innovative approaches that exploited enemy weaknesses rather than challenging their prepared strengths. Lieutenant Morrison's tactical assessment from advanced observation positions confirmed Washington's analysis of Japanese defensive vulnerabilities and identified specific opportunities for exploitation through coordinated attacks that could achieve tactical surprise while avoiding the killing zones that had made frontal assaults so costly. The detailed intelligence gathered during the reconnaissance mission provided tactical information that transformed understanding of Japanese defensive capabilities and revealed specific methods for accomplishing mission objectives with significantly reduced casualties and increased probability of success. Private Rodriguez's communication of reconnaissance findings to battalion headquarters enabled immediate tactical planning for exploitation of the opportunities identified through Washington's innovative approach. The radio operator's technical capabilities ensured that critical intelligence reached decision-makers, while the tactical situation remained favorable for decisive action. The reconnaissance team's successful extraction through alternative routes identified during their observation period demonstrated the multiple options available through Washington's systematic approach to tactical planning. His preparation of contingency procedures ensured mission success even when original plans required modification due to changing tactical conditions. Private Chen's medical assessment of team performance during the demanding reconnaissance mission confirmed that properly prepared personnel could sustain operations in challenging terrain for extended periods if appropriate techniques and conditioning were employed. The mission's success provided proof of concept for Washington's tactical approach, while generating detailed intelligence that would enable larger-scale operations using similar methods. The reconnaissance had transformed theoretical possibilities into practical tactical options, with demonstrated feasibility under actual combat conditions. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison's review of mission results led to immediate authorization for implementation of Washington's flanking attack on a larger scale, using the tactical intelligence and proven procedures developed during the reconnaissance mission. The colonel's decision represented acceptance of innovative approaches that had demonstrated superior effectiveness compared to conventional alternatives. Captain Bradley's tactical planning for the expanded flanking operation incorporated Washington's recommendations while scaling up the proven procedures to accommodate the larger forces required for decisive action against Japanese positions. The captain's integration of innovative methods with standard military procedures created a hybrid approach that maximized tactical advantages while maintaining command control and unit coordination. The selection of forces for the expanded flanking attack emphasized individual capabilities and demonstrated reliability rather than traditional organizational structures, reflecting Washington's argument that mission success would depend on personal performance rather than conventional military hierarchy. Washington's assignment as guide and tactical advisor for the larger operation formalized his role in mission planning while ensuring that tactical execution could benefit from his specialized knowledge and proven judgment. His integration into the command structure represented innovative adaptation of military organization to accommodate practical operational requirements. Sergeant O'Brien's leadership of the expanded flanking force reflected confidence in his ability to coordinate diverse personnel in complex operations while working effectively with Washington's tactical guidance. The sergeant's role bridged traditional military structure with innovative tactical approaches. The expanded mission planning addressed logistical requirements for sustained operations in isolated terrain, including ammunition resupply, medical support, communication procedures, and coordination with supporting elements that would enable the flanking force to maintain effectiveness throughout extended operations. Private Rodriguez's communication planning for the larger operation established relay networks that would maintain contact between the flanking force and battalion headquarters while providing coordination with supporting artillery and airstrikes that could be called upon if tactical conditions required additional firepower. Equipment modifications for the expanded operation balanced mobility requirements with combat capability, ensuring that personnel could maintain effectiveness in challenging terrain while carrying sufficient supplies and ammunition for sustained operations against prepared defensive positions. Training for additional personnel assigned to the flanking operation emphasized the specialized techniques developed during Washington's reconnaissance mission, ensuring that all participants understood movement procedures and tactical requirements specific to operations in volcanic terrain. The systematic approach to preparation reflected Washington's understanding that mission success would depend on flawless execution by every participant, requiring training standards that exceeded conventional military requirements while maintaining unit cohesion and command effectiveness. On the morning of March 4th, weather conditions again provided optimal concealment for launching the expanded flanking operation, with volcanic dust stirred by strong winds creating additional cover while maintaining adequate visibility for navigation and tactical coordination. The flanking force's departure from American lines followed procedures proven during the reconnaissance mission, with coordination measures ensuring smooth passage through friendly positions, while maintaining operational security about mission objectives and planned routes. Washington's navigation of the larger force through initial phases of the infiltration route demonstrated that techniques proven effective for small reconnaissance teams could be successfully scaled up for larger tactical operations requiring coordination of multiple squads operating in challenging terrain. The systematic approach to movement control developed during mission planning enabled precise coordination between multiple elements while maintaining the stealth and speed requirements essential for achieving tactical surprise against prepared enemy positions. Sergeant O'Brien's command coordination with Washington's tactical guidance created effective integration between traditional military leadership and specialized expertise, maximizing the advantages provided by proven reconnaissance while maintaining clear command authority and unit discipline. The flanking force's movement through intermediate phases of the planned route proceeded according to precise timing schedules that coordinated their advance with supporting operations designed to maintain enemy attention on conventional approach routes, where Japanese defenders anticipated American assault attempts. Lieutenant Morrison's coordination of supporting elements ensured that conventional assault preparations proceeded normally while concealing the flanking operation from enemy observation. This deception plan maintained tactical surprise while providing options for coordinated attacks from multiple directions. Washington's guidance through advanced phases of the flanking route demonstrated that his reconnaissance findings could be translated into effective tactical execution by larger forces operating under actual combat conditions. His systematic preparation enabled successful navigation of complex terrain by personnel who had not participated in original reconnaissance activities. The flanking forces' approach to Japanese positions revealed the accuracy of reconnaissance intelligence and confirmed tactical opportunities that had been identified during preliminary observation. Washington's analysis of enemy weaknesses proved correct under operational conditions that tested every aspect of his tactical planning. Private Rodriguez's coordination of communication between flanking elements and supporting forces enabled real-time tactical adjustments that maximized the effectiveness of coordinated attacks while maintaining operational security about American intentions and capabilities. The flanking attack achieved complete tactical surprise, with Japanese defenders unprepared for assault from directions they had not anticipated or fortified against conventional American approaches. Washington's systematic analysis of enemy defensive planning had identified precisely the vulnerabilities that could be exploited for maximum tactical advantage. The coordination between flanking elements and conventional assault forces created tactical conditions that overwhelmed Japanese defensive capabilities through simultaneous pressure from multiple directions. This coordinated approach prevented enemy forces from concentrating their defensive fire and enabled American forces to exploit weaknesses in prepared positions. Washington's tactical guidance during the assault phases ensured that attacking forces maintained coordination while adapting to tactical developments that required real-time modifications to original plans. His systematic approach to tactical decision-making under pressure enabled effective command responses to unexpected situations. The success of the flanking operation validated Washington's innovative tactical concepts while demonstrating the potential for achieving decisive results through approaches that challenged conventional military doctrine. His systematic analysis had identified methods for accomplishing mission objectives with significantly reduced casualties while achieving tactical surprise that conventional approaches could not provide. Sergeant O'Brien's leadership during the assault demonstrated effective integration of innovative tactics with traditional military leadership, creating command approaches that maximized individual capabilities while maintaining unit cohesion and mission focus under demanding combat conditions. The flanking attack's decisive success eliminated Japanese resistance on Mount Suribachi's eastern approaches while capturing intact defensive positions that provided tactical intelligence about enemy capabilities and defensive planning throughout the remaining sectors of the mountain fortress. Private Chen's medical support during the operation confirmed that proper preparation and systematic tactical execution could achieve significant military objectives with minimal casualties, validating Washington's argument that innovative approaches could be both more effective and less costly than conventional alternatives. The tactical intelligence captured during the flanking operation revealed the extent of Japanese defensive preparations and confirmed that conventional assault methods would have required prolonged fighting with massive casualties to achieve objectives that innovative tactics had accomplished in a single coordinated operation. Lieutenant Colonel Harrison's assessment of the operation's results led to immediate expansion of flanking tactics throughout the battalion's area of responsibility, incorporating Washington's proven methods into standard operational procedures while maintaining flexibility for adaptation to different tactical situations. Captain Bradley's tactical analysis documented the specific advantages achieved through Washington's innovative approaches, providing detailed information that could be applied to similar tactical challenges throughout the Pacific Theater, where conventional assault methods had proven inadequate against prepared defensive positions. The systematic documentation of tactical procedures developed during the operation ensured that Washington's innovations could be transmitted to other units facing similar challenges, enabling broader application of proven methods that could reduce casualties while improving mission effectiveness throughout American forces. Washington's formal recognition for his tactical contributions included promotion to sergeant and assignment to regimental headquarters where his expertise could influence tactical planning for larger operations against remaining Japanese positions on Iwo Jima and future operations against similar defensive systems. The corporal's integration into higher-level tactical planning represented acknowledgement that innovative thinking and systematic analysis could make critical contributions to military effectiveness regardless of the social background or previous status of personnel who demonstrated exceptional professional capabilities. Sergeant O'Brien's subsequent assignment to instructor duties at tactical training schools reflected recognition that the leadership techniques developed during the flanking operations could enhance military education and improve preparation for complex operations, requiring coordination between diverse personnel with specialized capabilities. Private Rodriguez's technical innovations in communication procedures became standard equipment configurations for reconnaissance and special operations throughout the Marine Corps, demonstrating that individual expertise developed under operational conditions could make lasting contributions to military effectiveness. Private Chen's medical procedures for operations in challenging terrain were adopted throughout Pacific Theater medical training programs, ensuring that lessons learned during the flanking operation could improve casualty care and evacuation procedures for forces operating in similar environments. The broader impact of Washington's tactical innovations extended far beyond the immediate success on Mount Suribachi to influence American tactical doctrine throughout the remaining Pacific campaigns, where similar approaches achieved decisive results against Japanese defensive positions that had been considered nearly impregnable. The systematic documentation of Washington's tactical methods enabled training programs that taught his innovative approaches to officers and enlisted personnel throughout the Marine Corps, ensuring that his contributions would continue to save lives and achieve mission objectives long after the specific circumstances that had inspired his original innovations. The recognition of Washington's professional contributions helped accelerate changes in military personnel policies that expanded opportunities for African American Marines to contribute their capabilities to tactical planning and leadership responsibilities, demonstrating that operational effectiveness required utilization of all available talent, regardless of racial or social barriers. The success of integrated tactical teams that had included personnel from diverse backgrounds provided practical demonstration that effective military operations required cooperation and mutual respect among all participants, helping to break down institutional barriers that had limited military effectiveness through exclusion of qualified personnel. The long-term impact of Washington's tactical innovations could be measured not only in immediate military effectiveness, but also in broader social progress that recognized individual capabilities and contributions rather than limiting opportunities through systematic prejudice that weakened overall military performance. The documentation of Washington's systematic approach to tactical innovation provided educational materials that influenced military thinking throughout the post-war period, ensuring that his contributions to tactical effectiveness would continue to benefit military operations long after the specific conflict that had inspired his original innovations. The integration of Washington's methods into standard military doctrine represented acknowledgement that the best tactical solutions often emerged from careful analysis and innovative thinking rather than rigid adherence to conventional approaches that might not address the unique challenges presented by specific operational situations. The broader recognition of Washington's contributions helped establish precedents for evaluating military innovations based on their practical effectiveness rather than the social status or background of personnel who developed them, creating institutional approaches that encourage tactical creativity and systematic problem-solving. The success of Washington's flanking operations demonstrated that military effectiveness could be enhanced through systematic utilization of individual talents and specialized expertise, encouraging organizational approaches that maximized human resources while maintaining traditional military discipline and command effectiveness. The detailed analysis of factors that had contributed to the operation's success provided insights that influenced military education and training programs throughout the post-war period, ensuring that Washington's systematic approach to tactical innovation would continue to improve military performance in diverse operational environments. The preservation of tactical documentation from Washington's operations created historical resources that continued to influence military thinking decades after the original events, demonstrating the lasting value of systematic innovation and careful analysis in developing effective responses to complex tactical challenges. The recognition that Washington's innovations had saved numerous lives while achieving critical military objectives helped establish the principle that effective tactics should be evaluated based on their operational results, rather than their conformity to traditional approaches that might not address the specific requirements of particular tactical situations. The integration of diverse personnel and innovative approaches that had characterized the flanking operations became a model for subsequent military operations that required coordination between specialized capabilities and traditional military organization, demonstrating effective methods for combining innovation with institutional effectiveness. The systematic approach to tactical planning that Washington had demonstrated provided educational examples that influenced military leadership training throughout the post-war period, ensuring that his methods for analyzing complex problems and developing innovative solutions would continue to enhance military effectiveness. The documentation of communication and coordination procedures developed during the flanking operations contributed to improvements in military organization and command procedures that enhanced effectiveness in subsequent operations, requiring coordination between diverse units and specialized capabilities. The medical and logistical procedures developed to support operations in challenging terrain became standard components of military training programs, ensuring that Washington's systematic approach to operational planning would continue to improve military effectiveness in diverse operational environments. The broader impact of Washington's tactical contributions demonstrated that military effectiveness could be significantly enhanced through recognition and systematic utilization of individual talents and innovative thinking, establishing precedents that influenced military personnel policies and organizational approaches throughout the post-war period. Years later, when military historians analyzed the tactical innovations that had characterized successful Pacific operations, Washington's systematic approach to problem-solving and his integration of careful analysis with innovative tactical execution would be recognized as exemplary of the individual contributions that had enabled American military success against formidable defensive challenges. The lasting legacy of Washington's contributions could be measured not only in immediate tactical success, but also in the broader principle that effective military operations required recognition and utilization of all available talents, regardless of traditional social barriers that might limit institutional effectiveness through exclusion of qualified personnel. The systematic documentation of procedures and techniques developed during the flanking operations ensured that Washington's innovations would continue to influence military training and tactical education long after the original participants had completed their military service, creating lasting contributions to institutional knowledge and operational effectiveness. The recognition that individual initiative and systematic analysis could make critical contributions to tactical success helped establish educational and organizational approaches that encouraged innovation while maintaining military discipline, demonstrating methods for balancing individual creativity with institutional effectiveness. The success of integrated operations that had combined Washington's tactical innovations with traditional military capabilities provided practical demonstrations that diversity and innovation could enhance rather than compromise military effectiveness, helping to establish precedents for organizational approaches that maximized human resources. The detailed analysis of factors that had enabled the flanking operations' success contributed to military research and educational programs that studied effective leadership and tactical innovation, ensuring that Washington's systematic approaches would continue to influence military thinking and training procedures. The documentation of coordination procedures between innovative tactics and traditional military support provided educational resources that influenced subsequent training programs for officers and enlisted personnel responsible for planning and executing complex operations requiring integration of diverse capabilities. The broader recognition of Washington's tactical contributions helped establish the principle that military effectiveness required systematic evaluation and implementation of promising innovations regardless of their origins, encouraging institutional approaches that prioritized operational results over conformity to traditional procedures. The long-term impact of Washington's innovations extended beyond immediate tactical applications to influence broader military thinking about the relationship between individual initiative and institutional effectiveness, demonstrating methods for encouraging creativity while maintaining organizational discipline and command authority. The preservation of detailed records documenting the planning and execution of Washington's flanking operations created historical resources that continued to provide educational value decades after the original events, ensuring that his systematic approach to tactical innovation would remain available to future military leaders. The integration of Washington's tactical methods into standard military doctrine represented institutional recognition that the most effective approaches often emerged from careful analysis of specific operational challenges rather than rigid application of conventional solutions that might not address particular tactical requirements. The success of operations that had combined Washington's innovative planning with diverse personnel capabilities demonstrated that military effectiveness could be enhanced through systematic utilization of all available talents, encouraging organizational approaches that maximized human resources while maintaining traditional military values. The documentation of training procedures developed to teach Washington's tactical innovations provided educational resources that influenced military instruction throughout the post-war period, ensuring that his systematic approach to problem-solving and tactical planning would continue to enhance military preparation and operational effectiveness. And that concludes our story. If you made it this far, please share your thoughts in the comments. What part of this historical account surprised you most? Don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories from World War II and check out the video on screen for another incredible tale from history. Until next time.